last time Jordy was here in 2013, he was the only guy in the world, he and his company D-Wave, the only guy in the world making quantum computers. We didn't understand what quantum computers were, and I'm not sure I understand it now, but he was getting 10 million bucks a machine and selling them to some of the most important organizations in the world, like NASA, like the CIA, like Mr. Bezos. Still don't quite understand what a quantum computer is. But in any case, you're not doing that anymore.
That's true.
And now you're interested in building humanoid robots that are almost identical to humans. Do I get that correctly?
That's part of it.
That's part of it. And will they be able to understand what a quantum computer is?
It's part of what I'm going to be talking about.
Well,
I don't know. Again, a lot of this is experimental, but the root value in this is the mind. It's if you can crack the problem of how to create minds that are human-like or animal-like, you can task them to do anything you like, and that includes the entire world's economic activity.
Uber, Bitcoin, self-driving cars. Combine those three together, and you have the self-owning taxi. A car that is a corporation that owns itself, pays for the car lease, the car insurance, and the gasoline from the revenues it makes, giving passengers a ride, and there's not a single human involved in that matter.
Welcome to the Cryptoteacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And guys, we have Jordy Rose bringing it all together. Make sure you watch the last video I uploaded. And then plus, I'm going to connect the dots in the morning. But we had Jordy Rose pushing these quantum computers D-Wave to NASA, Google, CIA, Bezos. Guys, you heard them. And these are the same companies on the stock market that's getting all the money. This is unbelievable. And what does Jordy Rose leave for the quantum computing? That's right, humanoid robots. And in the last video, you understand. Guys, they want to have those synthetic minds in order to run the economy without a human involved. You heard it out of his own mouth. Guys, make sure you get to my TikTok. Make sure you follow it. Tell all your friends to follow it. Because remember, the only thing that I know that makes TikTok is a clock. And guess what? You're running out of time. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you. Now we have Ethereum ETFs are on their way. We know we got to have the drama. We know we have to have the movie. Bitwise says they made changes and refiled, so they're just waiting. And then we have SCARIEST on the Bitcoin and crypto dip. And we're all over media, guys. We're all over media. It doesn't matter whether we're down or whether we're up. Remember, media doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. It's pushing adoption. Now we have Germany, Mt.Gox, that they're using the narrative that we're dumping. But we have Germany with a few billion. We have Mt.Gox about 9 billion, but we dump 170 billion. Guys, make those numbers make sense. It's nothing but the Fed. Remember, when the Fed dumps you, they have to have a distraction. They're not going to tell you, I took your money. But we also know regulation is right around the corner for the fourth industrial revolution because they want these robots, algorithms, and drones to take over the economy while the sheep go inside the metaverse. And guess what? They got to keep these distractions and that crisis going on in order to bring them in. And now we have Biden, of course, is the distraction. Will he still be the nominee? Just sit back, get your popcorn, let it play out. It's all a movie. And remember, the Cryptoteacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Today, I think Van Eck also filed. How much did you need to amend your application, and when do you think approval might be likely?
Yeah, great questions, Bob. I can't speak beyond what's in the filing, but I think if you look, the amendments from the previous one were relatively limited, and that tells us that we're getting closer to the finish line. I think what you're hearing about this week or next, that makes sense to me. This has been a very fast process. Remember, only 2 months ago, no one thought we were going to see these ETFs. Now it seems likely we will, and we'll see what the response is.
So just for people not familiar with this, the fact that the amendments that you had, the SEC filed comments in response to your S1, and you've now filed amended comments. The fact that the changes you had to make were minimal is a good sign, right? For people who don't understand this process.
That's right. It's like a fine-tuning process. Sometimes it takes one amendment. For the Bitcoin ETFs, I think it took 6 amendments. We're on amendment 2 or 3 on Ethereum, but we're getting to the end of the road is what it looks like based on the scale of the changes. You can't guarantee anything. You could get a curveball at any point, but it feels like we're getting to the sharp end.
It needs to be re-asked because it was at north of 70, and now here we are.
Just promise me if we get to 100,000 at the end of the year, you'll invite me back.
I definitely will.
Promise me.
I definitely will.
I won't have the basketball trophy, but you have a lot of things going on at the same time. You have the German government selling some Bitcoin. You have the Mt.Gox bankruptcy, which has been a 10-year drawn-out affair, is now going to be releasing about 140,000 Bitcoins. And so Skybridge, alongside a Fortress, participated in that. And so you have a combination of these things going on at the same time that there's been some selling pressure in the ETF. And so when that happens, Bitcoin is a volatile asset. You also had a halving, not to get into the Bitcoin jargon with you, but
I think our viewers are well versed on that.
Okay, so every time you have a halving, a result of which it forces the miners to sell some Bitcoin, keep up their revenues, which puts temporary pressure on Bitcoin, but we still love the fundamentals of Bitcoin long term. And I do think, as I said, it'll be 170,000 post-halving, but I think it can get to 100,000 by year end, but it has to chug through this slog right now. One last quick point.
Sure.
FTX is going to be releasing shortly $16 billion roughly of cash to investors that had their accounts at FTX. And so that's very good news for Bitcoin holders, I believe, because a lot of that was in Bitcoin. It got frozen in the bankruptcy. It got dollarized, unfortunately, at low numbers for Bitcoin. But it's going to go back to those account holders shortly, and we think a lot of that may flow into the assets. We call these things life chips. If you get a windfall back like that, you were counting on not getting that money back. Now that you're getting it, you may buy a car, you may buy a house, you may buy a summer house. But I do think 40 to 50% of that will go back into the asset class. I mean, these are hardcore people. Remember, they're early adopters too. If you had an account at FTX, or you have an account at Coinbase, you're considered to be an early adopter in the digital asset space. And so early adopters, have typical loyalty to the asset class. I don't think so, Scott, and I'll take you back to the situation, the early days of Uber. No government wanted Uber, no administrator wanted Uber, no mayor wanted Uber. All the regulators said no to Uber, but the people wanted Uber. And one thing that just happened today, in the GOP platform, they're going to have their convention next week. Right there, glaringly in the GOP platform, is the protection of digital assets and the protection specifically of Bitcoin. So I think that's a huge mistake by the Democrats. I feel like they're fumbling the football on digital assets. It's not a niche business anymore. Okay, you could go by the Mike Novogratz discussion where he thinks there's 85 million wallets. I think Coinbase put out something like 50 million wallets. Let's cut those down. Let's say there's only 20 million wallets of eligible voters in the United States, and let's say 10% of them are single-issue voters. We've got 2 million potential voters in a very close, very narrow election being resolved by 6 or 7 swing states that could be single-issue digital asset voters. So to me, I think it's overwhelming conclusion that this will be an acceptable long-term asset class in the United States. And if that's the case, I'm not worried about the other sovereigns. Well, listen, I mean, I think President Biden is obviously dug in, had a poor debate performance, but it appears like he is going to be the nominee. The swing state voting right now has former President Trump in the lead. I'm a markets guy. I know you're a markets guy. The poly markets are favoring Donald Trump right now. But these things are close elections, and there's a lot to be decided right now. You have the VP process, which will come up this week. You've got another debate on September the 10th. If President Biden is staying in the race, I think he really has to demonstrate what he's been trying to do over the last couple of days. He was on Morning Joe this morning, our sister network, and he's very articulate on Morning Joe. but he's having problems putting sentences together, and I think that has to worry people. And so we'll see how all that unfolds. I think they'll have to make a decision one way or another by the end.
In regards to the president specifically.
Hold on a second.
Not what you should be able to answer by this point.
Wait, no. No, wait a minute. Ed, please. A little respect here, please. So every year, around the president's physical examination, he sees a neurologist. That's 3 times, right? So I am telling you that he has seen a neurologist 3 times while he has been in this presidency. That's what I'm saying.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.